Hey y'all, today we're doing another big meal prep. Okay, so this is a freezer meal prep, but today we are going to do snacks and desserts. We've got a lot of stuff in the freezer that we've been meal prepping, our meals, you know. So I thought, let's add some sweet stuff, some snacky things, and don't worry, some of these are on the healthier side, so don't worry about that. And I accidentally stuck my hummus in the middle of this for some reason, but if you didn't know, you can freeze hummus, but I'm not doing hummus in this video, but I will link my hummus video if anybody wants to check that out. So let's get started making all our yummy snacks. So the first thing that we're gonna make is energy bites, okay? So what we're gonna need is some old-fashioned oats. Get you a big bowl. We're not gonna have to cook these. These are super, super simple to throw together. You're gonna need 1 cup of old-fashioned oats. Then you're gonna need a ½ cup of mini chocolate chips. These are the semi-sweet. Use whatever kind you like. Then I'm going to add in some flaxseed. This is the ground flaxseed. This stuff is really good for you, so highly recommend it, you know, if you like flaxseed. I was going to do chia seeds too, but then I forgot to get them out and completely forgot when I was putting it together. But I used a ½ cup of the flaxseed, and then I'm going to use 1 cup of unsweetened coconut, okay? So then you're just going to give this a little mix just to get all of our ingredients kind of mixed together good, because you don't want to end up, when you add in your wet ingredients, you don't want to, you know, like a big clump of chocolate chips over here and then these don't have any chocolate chips. It just makes it a lot easier if you mix this up beforehand, okay? So these are super, super simple. Like I said, we are going to do this in 2 seconds, okay? So what you're going to need for your wet ingredients is some creamy peanut butter. You're going to need a ½ cup of that. And then we're going to add in a third of a cup. Y'all, I made so much stuff, I'm going to stumble all over myself in this video. You're going to need a third of a cup of honey. Now, if you spray a little cooking spray in your measuring cup, then your honey will slide right on out, okay? So make your life easier and do that. I don't do that in another recipe in a minute, and you'll see that, but whatever, it's all good. But if you want to make it a little easier, put a little cooking spray or rub a little oil or something in there, and then your honey will not stick to your measuring cup. It'll come right on out very, very easily, okay? So if you didn't know, you can freeze energy bites. Now, I made some lactation bites a while back when my niece had her baby. I'll link that video. I'll try to remember to link that video for y'all if y'all have anybody who is in need of that. But these are super easy to throw together, and then we're going to freeze them. And then when you're ready to eat these, just take them out the night before, you know, sit them on the counter, like in your container on the counter, and they're ready to go the next day. These are super simple, and they are so good, y'all. So once you get your peanut butter and your honey all mixed up, you're going to put it over into your dry ingredients. And you're going to have a little patience because the honey peanut butter mixture is pretty thick. So it's going to take a little time to get this mixed. But just, it's worth it, y'all. So I sprayed my hands with a little cooking spray. If you try to roll these, they're going to fall apart. So just kind of put it in your hand and kind of just smush it into a ball. And I think I ended up making 20 of these, I believe is how many this recipe made. But you could absolutely double it, triple it, or whatever you want to do to however many that you need to make. Look at me counting. But I had one little tiny one that was down there, and it was just laying there looking all pitiful. Look at it, poor thing. Look, quality control. But we're going to pop these into the freezer. Once they're frozen, throw them in a Ziploc bag, and you are good to go. So the next thing that we're going to make is granola bars. Now, we've made granola bars before, but these are a little bit different. So what you're going to need is some old-fashioned oats again. You're going to need 5 cups of this. Now, this makes a lot of granola bars, so feel free to half the recipe if you need to, or double it if you need more. So 5 cups of oatmeal, and then 4½ cups of Rice Krispies, crispy rice, whatever it is, depending on whatever brand you bought, okay? 5 cups of oatmeal, 4½ cups of that. Then you're going to need 1 sleeve of graham crackers. If you have a food processor, crush them up. If not, stick them in a Ziploc bag, beat them with a meat mallet. That's what I did today because at the time I made this, I did not have my food processor yet. and you're just going to dump that in there. So that is all for this for your dry ingredients. Now, I found this on an old YouTube video, and you could add chocolate chips, but if I add chocolate chips and then pour hot stuff over it, it's going to melt the chocolate chips. So I did not add them, and I didn't have the patience to let it cool down to add them. So, you know, this is what we got. But you could certainly add chocolate chips if you want to. So to a pot, you're going to add 1.5 sticks of butter. Then you're going to add in a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. And I'm just, you know, roughly measuring it out here. And then this is where I put the honey in here thinking it would slide out because of the coconut oil, you know, being greasy. No, it didn't. I had to dig it out, but that's okay. My hands were clean, and these are for me. This particular thing is for me. So then you're going to add a 1/4 cup of honey, whatever kind of honey you like. I like to use some local honey that's from around, you know, around where I live, because then you get all those little benefits from the area you live in. So we're going to add in our 1/4 cup of honey in here, and like I said, I thought it was going to slide out, and it fooled me. So sometimes you just got to get in there and do what you got to do, y'all. You just got to do what you got to do. And you can certainly, like I said, this is a freezer prep video, so everything we're making, you can freeze. Everything's going in the freezer, okay? So then we're going to add in a 1/2 cup, no, a 1/4 cup, a 1/4 cup. Don't worry, if I've made the recipes before, I'm going to link the original video that has the recipe written out. And if I have not made it on the channel before, like this one, I will write everything out in the description box for y'all. So if I stumble over something or something doesn't make sense, don't worry, I'm going to write it out for you. And then if it still doesn't make sense, just, you know, leave me a comment and ask me. I'll explain it. So 1/4 cup of peanut butter, and then you're going to need 10 ounces of mini marshmallows. Now, a regular size bag of mini marshmallows is 10 ounces. So this would normally just be 1 bag of mini marshmallows, but all they had was the value size. So that's what I got. I think these are like 16 ounces. So I didn't measure it out, but I tried to get as close as I could to roughly 10 ounces. Okay? So that's what I did, but you feel free to measure if you want to. So we're going to put this on the stove, and we're just going to slowly let this melt. You need to let your marshmallows, your butter, everything melt together and get nice and good and mixed up. Okay? And then it's going to look a little something like this. Okay? Now, you don't want to like boil this. You don't want to burn this. Like, keep it on a little low, like a little simmer-ish kind of, you know, heat until it gets all completely melted. And then we're going to take this and we're going to pour it right over the top of our oatmeal and cereal mixture, okay? And it seems like a lot of liquid, but trust me, it's not. I mean, it is, but you need it for this amount of stuff. Because you remember, we put almost, well, more than 10 cups of dry ingredients in here. So just mix this up, making sure that you get down to the bottom and that you're getting all of the dry stuff that may kind of, you know, sink down there. You just want to make sure that everything is good and incorporated, even if you have to get in here with your hand. Now, if you wanted to add chocolate chips, once you mix this up, before you press it into the pan, once it cools down a little bit, then you could add the chocolate chips and not risk them melting as much. But again, I just didn't want to fool with it, and I don't mind it without the chocolate chips, so that's why I made it like this. So then I got a big cookie sheet out. Now, this is not a 9 by 13. This is a size up from that, so whatever that size is. Y'all see Bob Ross peeking at y'all? I know somebody's probably thinking, you always wear the same shirt. Look, that one and my Golden Girl shirt are 2 of the oldest shirts I own. They have holes in them. They're stained up. And I'm so messy in the kitchen, y'all, that I tend to gravitate towards those shirts when I'm cooking because I know it's not going to matter if I get messy. So there you go. So once you press out your granola bars, you're going to pop these in the refrigerator until they're completely cooled and set up. And look, there was a little bit more quality control done right there in that corner. But y'all, these are super chewy. You know, I guess, you know, give that to the marshmallows or whatever. These are so good. All the flavors are so good together. It works, y'all. It's really, really good. So I don't know why I started trying to cut this in the pan like I was about half crazy. That's the whole point of me putting parchment paper in there, was so I could just lift it right out of the cookie sheet. Y'all know you can't tell me nothing in the kitchen. Anyway, so I've got my bench scraper because it has a little bit of a beveled edge on it, and it makes cutting stuff like this super easy. But if you don't have one of these, you can absolutely just use a big knife or whatever you have that will cut, and you know, that'll cut these. They're not hard to cut. I was trying to keep them straight, but like I said, they're chewy. These are so good, y'all. Like, these are some of the best granola bars I've had. But you could definitely add like little dehydrated marshmallows if you wanted to give it kind of a s'mores vibe, you know. You could put chocolate chips and some of those little dehydrated marshmallows or something in there. But just like this, plain like this, were super, super good to me. But see, that's what they look like. And again, these are going in the freezer. All I did was cut them into roughly a granola bar size. And then I put them over into a Ziploc bag, as many of them as I could fit in there. And like I said, this makes a ton. I mean, y'all can see, it makes a lot of these. But I just put them in my Ziploc bag, as many as I could fit in there. And then the ones that wouldn't fit, I put into another little Ziploc bag, and I just had those to snack on for the week. But all you gotta do, take them out, sit them on the counter, let them thaw out, and they're good to go. All right, next up, we're making some little ice cream cookie bowls. So these are super, super simple. I did these for my grandkids. I thought this was such a cute idea for little ones. You're gonna take a package of this pre-made sugar cookie dough. Now, you could use any flavor cookie that you want to, but I just thought, not knowing what flavors of ice cream and stuff we would add, that a sugar cookie would be just sort of a plain base to start with. So you can make your cookies homemade if you want to do that, but this was just an easy recipe, so I thought the easier the better, and I'm just going to buy the pre-made stuff. So you're going to want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we're going to cut these cookies in, where we're going to cut the cookie dough into 12 cookies, okay? You want these to be about a ½ inch or so thick. Just get 12 out of them. I had a little bit left over, but somebody will have to eat that, and that's sad. Okay, so you're going to take 2 muffin pans, grease them very, very well, and then you're going to put 1 cookie into each little muffin tin, little muffin cup. Okay, we're going to put these, just 6 of them in each one. Obviously, we're going to make 12 of these. And you don't have to press them or try to make a bowl out of them. They're going to make a bowl themselves when you put them in the oven. They're going to kind of rise up the side. You're going to see in a minute. So we're going to bake these 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes, okay? This is what they look like when they come out. See how they've kind of made a bowl? So to make it a little bit deeper, I'm going to use this tart tamper that I have. It's in my Amazon store, and so are all of the pans and stuff that I'm using in this video. If y'all need to look for those, and my store is linked down below. You don't have to have this fancy little tool. You can use a shot glass or whatever you have around your house that'll fit. While they're still warm, you just want to press them down just to make a little bit more room in the little cup, if that makes sense. But you absolutely don't have to do that if you don't want to. Once they're completely cool, you're just going to pop them out of the pan with a butter knife, and that's it. That is super, super simple. All you're going to do is now, and it's not like it's, oh, it's so fattening. It's 1 cookie, a tiny scoop of ice cream, and whatever toppings you want. And whatever cookies you're not using today, throw them in the freezer. Super simple. So next up, we're going to make some really easy yogurt granola bites. So I'm using some light yogurt. It's regular yogurt, it's not Greek yogurt, and it's the vanilla flavor. Now you can use any flavor that you want to use. Any of it will work. I just decided to go with vanilla because I wanted something a little bit on the plainer side, because these are just for me. So now a lot of this I'm sharing, but some of these are just for me, so I just made them the way I want them. So you can add fruit to this. Whatever you want to do will be perfectly fine. But you're going to add about half of that big container of yogurt, whatever kind of yogurt you used, and then I'm going to add in half of this container of Cool Whip. Then you're just going to mix it up until it's all good and combined, and then we're going to take 12 little silicone cupcake holders. I'm going to set them on a cookie sheet, obviously, because that's going to be a lot easier to transfer. And then some granola. I'm using French vanilla almond. I love this. This is probably my favorite flavor of granola. It's good on anything. But you're going to put a little bit down in the bottom of each one of your little muffin cups. And then we're going to just spoon in our yogurt and Cool Whip mixture. And again, you can add fruit in here. You can add, layer it however many layers of this you want to do. But what I did was granola on the bottom and then the yogurt mixture and a little granola on the top. I just kept it simple. But this is just an idea. You can adjust this to whatever you like and however you want to make it, okay? These obviously we're not going to be cooking. We're not going to have to do anything more than just throw these together. These are super, super, super simple. I just went ahead and evenly divided all of my yogurt up. It was perfect for 12 of these little muffin cups. And then I sprinkled just a little bit of granola right on top of each one of these. Then you're just going to put these in the freezer and you're going to let these freeze completely. And I left mine overnight, I believe. So there's no really time limit as long as they're just frozen solid, okay? Because we don't want to try to move, take them out of the holders unless they're absolutely frozen. So once they're completely frozen, you're just going to pop them out of these silicone liners. And that's why I use the silicone ones, because it's super simple to just, get these out of there without having to dig around and then they're trying to melt on you and all that stuff. This just made it super simple. And you lose a tiny bit of granola that maybe wasn't stuck to your yogurt, but it's not much and it's super simple. You eat these frozen, or you can sit them out just for a couple of minutes if you need them a little softer. But that's it, y'all. These are so good and they are a great snack when you're craving like an ice cream type thing. So next up, we are going to make some banana bread. Now, I've made banana bread on the channel before. It's been a long time. And at that time, I did banana bread, like big loaves and muffins. This time, we're making mini loaves. So almost everything I'm making today is like a single serving kind of thing, or can be. So what I'm adding in here, I'm doubling the recipe. So I'm adding in 3 cups of self-rising flour. And I'm going to link the videos that I've made before down below. If I haven't made them before, I'm going to write you out the recipe and the instructions down below, okay? So I added 3 cups of self-rising flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, okay? Set that to the side. Now you're going to need your bananas. Now you want your bananas to be a little bit overripe, so if they have a couple of little bad spots, it's okay. I mean, you don't want them rotten. Don't put rotten bananas in here. But you don't want them to be green. You want them to be a little bit softer, okay? So I'm using 6. I use 3 to 4 bananas in each of my regular size loaves. And so for the amount that I'm going to make, I'm using 6 bananas. And then you're just going to mash them up. I've used a fork before. Use whatever you have that'll mash them. So then we're going to add, look, take the shells out. We're going to add in 2 eggs. Then we're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Then we're going to add in 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. And we're going to add 3 tablespoons. Look, I'm saying it and I'm thinking it in my head. 6 tablespoons, because we did double it. 6 tablespoons of regular sugar. And this is super simple, y'all. In my other recipe, I made it with monk fruit to make it a little bit, healthier. But I'm just using regular today because I already have it out for all the other recipes I'm making. But you can do it however you want. So I'm using unsweetened applesauce in place of oil in this recipe. So I'm going to use 6 tablespoons of unsweetened applesauce. I do this in my recipe where I use monk fruit and in this regular recipe. You cannot taste the difference. It still rises great. It is still fantastic, okay? It's just a tiny bit healthier, a little tiny bit of a healthier ingredient option in this case, okay? So once you get all of your wet ingredients in here, you're going to mix these all up until you get everything good and combined, okay? And then, y'all, these recipes are so super simple, and I filled the freezer up, I'm telling you. Filled the freezer up. It probably won't last long because my kids will come over here and steal stuff, but that's okay because that's what mamas are supposed to do, right? So go ahead too and get your oven preheating to 350 degrees because we are going to bake these. So once you get your wet ingredients all mixed, you're going to add in the dry ingredients. So you're just going to fold this in. You don't want to over mix this and make your bread like real heavy and dense. So just mix it. I know it looks like I'm just beating the mess out of it because I've got it sped up, but you just want to mix it until it's just combined, okay? Then I'm adding in about a cup or so of some pecans. I had pecan halves, but I put them in a Ziploc bag and I beat them with my meat mallet until I crushed them up. But you don't have to add nuts if you don't want to, or you can use walnuts. Some people put oh shoot, what's it called? Chocolate chips in theirs, but I don't like chocolate chip banana bread. It's just not my thing. Like, I want banana bread to taste like banana bread, and I don't really care for the chocolate in there, but to each his own. If you are a chocolate lover and you want to, you can certainly add chocolate chips in there. So I started out with 6 of these little pans. They are linked in my Amazon store if you need to know what size they are. But I ended up needing more, but I wasn't sure, so I started out with 6. You're going to grease them real good, and then this is a 1/2 cup measuring cup, and I'm just putting roughly a cup of batter into each one of these pans, okay? It doesn't have to be exact. Do the best you can with whatever size pans you have, okay? So once I got the 6 filled up, I realized I had enough to do 2 more. So I ended up getting 8 of these little loaves of banana bread. And you can eat, I mean, each little loaf, I mean, depending on how much you eat, obviously. Don't look at my crusty cookie sheet. You know, this loaf can be 3 servings or 4 servings, depending on how much you eat. But they are definitely, you know, not for a family unless you cook them all. You just need to make a bigger loaf, that's all. So you're going to put these on a cookie sheet to make your life easier, and then we're going to bake these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes. Everybody's oven is different, so just watch them, okay? So this is what they look like when they come out, y'all. Banana bread is so good. We love banana bread around here. So what you're going to do is you're going to let these cool completely and then cover them with some foil, throw them in the freezer, and when you're ready to eat, let them thaw out on the counter overnight. Next up, we are making apple and cherry crisp. This stuff, again, is so good, y'all. So what you're going to need is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Then you're going to add 2 cups of packed brown sugar. And this is the crumble topping. We're not going to bake these today, but don't worry, I'm going to put the baking instructions down in the description box for y'all so you'll know exactly how to do it. But we're going to put these into the freezer unbaked, okay? Now you're going to add in a cup of old-fashioned oats, and then we're going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. This is a very fall-ish dish, okay? But it just sounded good to me. And we're going to prep so many of these that we'll probably still have some left when it's time for fall to get here. And if not, we'll just make some more. You know, who says you have to wait till a certain time of the year to eat things? So you're just going to mix your dry ingredients up until everything is good and combined, okay? Then we're going to add to this a cup of melted butter, okay? So that's 2 sticks, a cup of melted butter. And then you're going to mix this up until all of your dry ingredients have been incorporated. You don't want any dry stuff left. You want everything to be coated, okay? So I mixed this up until it was mostly mixed up, but then it was kind of getting tough to get the dry stuff to mix in, so I had just went in there with my hand and I mixed it all up. Don't worry, my hand is clean, but I just mixed it all up until all of the dry ingredients were completely incorporated. So these little pans, I love these little pans. These have tops to them where you can write out instructions and stuff, and you can just write on them, and so you'll know what you cooked. So if you're cooking a whole lot of different things, these little pans with the lids are perfect for that. So I'm starting out with some apple pie filling. This is the no sugar added. All of the pie filling I'm using in any recipe today is the no sugar added, but you can use whatever kind you want. So what you're going to do, you could actually, I think the original recipe, I don't remember where I found it, but I think it called for like fresh apples, like you had to cut them up and everything. But I just thought this would be so much easier. to just use the pre-made pie filling, and I forgot to spray that one, but make sure you spray these pans that you're going to bake something in later. So I'm just using, like I said, the apple pie filling, and I wasn't sure. The recipe is actually for like an 8x8 pan. So sometimes if you split it into 4 of these small ones, it ends up coming out the same, and sometimes it's not quite the same. So, just do the best you can. But these little small containers, I ended up using, it takes 1 can of pie filling. Now I had used part of another can already, so I had that left over. But for 4 of these little containers, it takes 1 can of whatever pie filling you're using. Like I said, today we're using apple and cherry, but you can use any flavor that you want. Once you get your fruit in there, you're going to take a big handful of this crumble stuff and you're going to put it right over the top. Now, I just put enough in there to where all my fruit at the bottom was completely covered, okay? And again, you can use, I was wanting to try blueberry, but I can't find blueberry pie filling at my store. So I don't know if that's a me thing or if that's a, everywhere thing. Maybe I just wasn't looking in the right place. But I got these 4 made, and then I said, let me make some cherry ones. I had a can of cherry pie filling. And so I was like, I'm going to try that because cherry crumble sounds really, really good. So I knew my 1 can of apple did 4, so I knew my 1 can of cherry would also do 4. So I sprayed these. Look, I remembered to spray my little pans this go round. So just spray them with your cooking spray. And then I'm taking this no sugar added. Look, I dented the can. That was all me. You're going to take your no sugar added or your regular if you want regular. And you're going to put this evenly, just distribute it out into your 4 pans. Now, if you want to make this a little more friendly, sugar-wise, you can use like a swerve brown sugar or, whatever you want to do. You can definitely make these a little bit healthier if you want to. Okay? Just keep that in mind. That's just, me letting y'all know that you can do that if this feels like it's too much sugar for somebody. So then I just went ahead, just like I did with the apple. I took a big handful of my crumble and put it right over the top of my cherries. And then I still had a little bit of crumble left and a little bit of apple left. So I made 1 more apple, and then the little bit of crumble I had left, I just kind of, distributed it out over all of them. So I ended up making, with that 1 crumble recipe, 9 pans of this stuff, y'all. That's a lot. That is a lot. I'm going to have enough crumble to last me a lifetime. So these are the lids I was talking about. They're like 10, whatever, on one side, shiny on one side, and then you can write on the other side. And if you're giving these away, these are perfect. You can write the instructions on how you're supposed to cook these on the white part of these. I just love these little containers. So you just seal them up. You can wrap these in plastic wrap if you feel like you need a little extra security in the freezer, but I do them just like this, and I've never had any issues with them freezer burning or anything, but do whatever you want to. But that's it, y'all. We got 9 crumbles out of that, and I'll leave the instructions in the description box on how to reheat those. So next up, we are making some peach and apple cobbler. Now, Miss Patty over on Side Dishes made a bunch of cobblers the other day, and she put them in the freezer, and I don't know why I never thought to put my cobblers in the freezer. Like, that was just like genius level, Miss Patty, genius level. But I will link her channel down below for y'all. She has a lot of good recipes over there if y'all want to check her out. But that's where I got the idea to do this as a freezer meal. So I am taking, for each of these little pans, 2 tablespoons of butter. Now, if you're doing it like a regular size pan, like an 8x8 pan of these, then you use the whole stick of butter in 1 pan. But since we're using small ones, I'm splitting it up. So each of these pans has 2 tablespoons of butter. It's going into a 400-degree oven, 400-degree Fahrenheit oven, and we're going to let that butter melt. So now we're going to put together the other part of this. So what you're going to need is 2 cups of self-rising flour. Now that says all-purpose, but I turned this into self-rising flour. I didn't have any. If you want self-rising flour and you don't have any, it's a cup of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and that will make self-rising flour for you. I'll put that in the description box for y'all too in case y'all need that. So I added 2 cups of self-rising flour, 2 cups of sugar, and then I'm going to mix this up just to kind of get it mixed up a little bit. And I am doubling this recipe as well. So I will put all that, you know, where you need to know. But this I have made before, and I will link the original video for this one. Then I added in a little bit of cinnamon. I don't know how much I added. I just put it in there until it looked right. And then I mixed that up. Y'all know I don't measure. Maybe a couple teaspoons. You know, whatever. And then I added in a couple teaspoons of vanilla. And then you're going to add in 2 cups of milk. Whatever kind of milk you have will work just fine. Mine is 2%, and I've never had an issue with it. I know a lot of people say you have to use whole milk and everything, but I've never bought whole milk and don't. I don't like whole milk. So 2% milk is what's going in mine. So then you're just going to mix this up really, really good till all your dry stuff is all good and mixed in. It's going to be a little bit loose. It's not like a thick batter. It's pretty loose. So once your oven is preheated and your butter is nice and melted, you're going to pull that out. And then this is a 1/2 cup measuring cup that I'm using. And I'm going to put a scoop of this into each one of these pans. Now I'm just doing the 1/2 cup because, again, I want to make sure that I have enough for each pan that I have. So I started out with a 1/2 cup of each. Do not mix this. You just want to pour this into the butter and leave it alone, okay? So then I'm going to add peaches. I'm doing peaches and apple. And that was another thing that Miss Patty had done. I've never made cobbler with pie filling before. I've always just used like the canned peaches or whatever. But she did hers with pie filling. And I was like, again, genius level, Miss Patty, genius level. So I'm using regular peaches on 4 of these on my peach cobblers. But for my apple cobblers, I am using some of this apple pie filling. Again, the no sugar added. But I thought, my gosh, what a fantastic taste to add this in here. So y'all have to thank Miss Patty for this one. But again, I'm going to leave her channel linked for y'all down in the description box so y'all can go check her out. But I just cut these up with a fork just to make a little bit smaller pieces in here. And then I just evened it up in there. Now we are going to bake these. We're going to bake this 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 minutes or so. Now, because these are small, we're not going to cook them very, very long. So about 25-30 minutes, depending on your oven. That's what they look like when they come out. You need to let them cool completely. And then we are going to label them. Since I made 2 different kinds, I want to make sure that I know what I'm grabbing if I grab one. And we're going to seal these up into these same little containers. And then they are going to be ready to go in the freezer. And all you have to do for these, when you take them out, you could just put them in the refrigerator, let them thaw overnight. And then you can pop them in the microwave or however you want to reheat them and serve them with some ice cream warm, okay? So next up, we are doing chocolate chip cookies. Now, I am going to do my favorite chocolate chip cookies. This is my sourdough discard chocolate chip cookies. I did make a video on this. One of the reasons I'm using this recipe is because it makes about 50 cookies. It makes a very large amount of cookies. And if you're going to make stuff to put in the freezer, I want to make enough of it that it makes it worth my while. You know what I'm saying? So I added in 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of baking soda. We're going to add in 4 teaspoons of cornstarch. Cornstarch, y'all. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Cornstarch. Okay, so 4 teaspoons of cornstarch. Then we're going to add in a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to add in, well, we're going to mix that up, aren't we? We're going to mix that up. That's our dry ingredients. We're going to mix that up. We're going to set that over to the side while we get the rest of our stuff together. But I will link the original video for this down in the description box for y'all too with all the instructions. So you're going to add in 3 sticks of melted butter, 2 cups of packed brown sugar, 1/2 cup of regular sugar. We're going to add in about a tablespoon or so of vanilla. Then I'm going to add in 200 grams, well, it's about a cup of sourdough discard, about a cup. And then I am going to, look, it's sticky, y'all. If you deal with sourdough discard, it's sticky. It's very sticky. It gets everywhere. But then you're going to add in, what you need to add in is 1 egg plus 1 egg yolk. And I forgot the egg yolk. I'm going to add it in here. You'll see me add it in here in a minute. But you're just going to get this really good and mixed up. Now, there I come, adding my egg yolk that I forgot. And I almost didn't crack the egg good enough to get it out of there. Lord of mercy. But anyway, I know this seems like a lot of butter and stuff. But like I said, this makes 50 cookies, and they are huge cookies, okay? So you could definitely make them smaller, but you could also do any cookie recipe that you like. I will link my whole cookie playlist down in the description box also for y'all if you want to make a different kind of cookie, because you can do the same process. Like, you can freeze any kind of cookie, okay? So once you get your wet ingredients together, you're going to slowly incorporate your dry ingredients, and we're just going to mix this until everything is combined. Then we're going to add in 3 cups of chocolate chips. I'm using milk chocolate. You can use whatever kind of chocolate chips you like. If you like dark chocolate, if you like semi-sweet chocolate, but I love the milk chocolate chips in here. They are fantastic. But you see me, it looks like 6 cups. That's a half cup. So 3 cups of chocolate chips. Then I added in about a cup and a half or so, maybe 2 cups even, of chopped pecans to mine. I just love a chocolate chip cookie with pecans in it. You could certainly leave that out if you don't like nuts in your cookies. Or you can add a different kind of nut if you want to. Once I got this all good and mixed up, this has to go into the refrigerator for about an hour, just so it'll hold together. Then you're going to just scoop these up, put them on a cookie sheet. We don't need to leave any space because we're just going to go in the freezer. We're not actually baking these. And I put as many as I could on this cookie sheet, and then I just had to bake the rest. You know, I had to. You know, I took one for the team. Took one for the team. But you're just going to make those all out. You're going to stick them in the freezer until they are completely frozen. Then they're going to go into a Ziploc bag. When you get ready to cook them, all you're going to do is cook them from frozen for 2 minutes longer than the regular time tells you that you need to cook them. Again, I'm going to have everything noted down in the description box for y'all. But I fit all of these into a big old gallon-sized Ziploc bag. And now, if I just want 1 or 2 cookies, I can go in there and pull them out, and I have cookies any stinking time I want them. We had a huge day of meal prepping, y'all. A huge day, a huge couple of days actually. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. I know it was a little bit different than like dinner meal preps, but I thought it would be fun, and it gives you so many options of different little desserts that you can make. And even if you don't want to put them in the freezer, you can just make, you know, a few of these just to have whenever you want them. But that's it, y'all. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm going to have a lot of fun eating all this yummy food. All right, that is all I've got for y'all today, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.